Welcome back to the Bak'n Show. In today's episode, we're going to go over the Growace AirCube ebb and flow system. I have that behind this curtain here. Now you see in my grows now I have a behind the curtain grow that you see every week. This 5x5 is now behind the curtain. I just kind of enclosed it on this side here and over here. So when I have company down in the basement, my tents aren't just sitting out. But that's why that's behind the curtain. This is not the behind the curtain grow. But yeah, this is the 5x5 Growace AirCube system. Going to take a look at her. Amazing growth over the last week. We're dialed in perfectly with this grow, and it's definitely time to flip her flower. But today we're going to do some defoliating because she is huge. All the plants in here are huge. Grew over the last week. I defoliated a week ago. You saw that. You'll see. It looks like I haven't touched it. But let me open this up so you can get a closer look. Now, as you can see, the girls are doing fantastic. I'm gonna move you up just a little closer, and I'm eventually gonna take you off the tripod so you can get a better look. But the system is working fantastic. I mean, no issues whatsoever. Now, the one plant right here, that is the Funky Chapel's Phenol number 1, is a little light greener than the other ones. And with the last reservoir changed, I see she's starting to correct herself where the green is coming back into the leaves like the other ones. So I believe it was a CalMag deficiency. It's starting to correct itself. So I see no issues there. Outside of this thing needing to be defoliated, there's no problems. Now over here on the right here, this plant here, that's the Granny Apple Fritters. I took some clones of her, and you might have seen in one of my other videos where I showed my veg tent. I had took 3 cuts of that, some real good cuts of that plant, and I put them in there, and I put them in a cup. I intended to put them in some Rockwell cubes, and I mean not Rockwell cubes, some peat moss cubes, the rapid rooters. And I was cleaning the tent, and I had my wet dry vac out, and I leaned over and I sucked the 3 clones up through the wet dry vac. Took them out, rinsed them all, put them back in the cups. But a day or two later, they were still looking kind of beat up. So I just went ahead and tossed them because I still have this plant here, still in veg. So I can take a few more cuts off of that. And as you can see, she's growing like crazy. So it's cuts everywhere that I could take off these plants here. So let me take you off the tripod. Well, real quick before I take you off the tripod. Over here on my left, over here back in this hole here, that's where my brain controller in the reservoir sits. Right now we have her doing 3 feeds a day at 15 minutes each, at 15-minute intervals. 2 hours once the light comes on. The light comes on at 6 a.m. So at 8 a.m. it gets its first feeding. Then I think it's noon, and then again at 4. So every 4 hours it gets that 15-minute, and then it doesn't do it again until the following day. And as you can see, the plants look great, and that seems to be working well for the plants too. So again, let me take you off the tripod, get you in here a little closer so you can see what the plants look like now, and then I'll show you what they look like after I defoliate. This is what the girls look like off the tripod and up close. And as I mentioned, this plant here, this is my Funky Chapel's Phenol number 1. It's just a little lighter. Get in a little closer. Some of the leaves here, you see that in there? Yeah, my CalMag was, growing in this cocoa. Got to stay on top of that. And some plants are a little bit more finicky than the other ones. This plant here actually stretches all the way over to here. I think that's the last top on the right there. And then it's that sour powers across the back there. But yeah, as I said, the plants just need to be defoliated. They filled in this canopy just like I wanted it to. I mentioned in a couple videos ago that once I filled in this spot over here, which is now that you see is full, it was back there. That's no gap there no more. And the other spot was right over here. So now as you can see is a nice, let me bring this down a little bit, pretty even canopy all the way across. And I have plenty of room between that top node here That's the tallest one in the tent right now. There, in the top of the light, has to be about 10 inches, maybe a foot. And I still have plenty room above the light to move the light up if I need to. And I will be needing to, because once we flip these to flower, they will get some stretch on them. But that's what the canopy looks like now. No deficiencies outside of this one here, like I mentioned, but everything back there is doing great. This system is fantastic. I mean, I do nothing. I come in, peep in, take a look, make sure I don't see anything developing on the leaves, check for harm since some of these plants are, matter of fact, all these plants except this one here are my strains. And I've grown them a couple times now, so I feel comfortable with these cuts here. But you never know what could cause a issue in your tent. So I'm keeping an eye on them, just making sure I don't see anything developing. I don't have any gnats, nothing's going on. But today it definitely needs to be cleaned up, because after today, I think tomorrow morning I'm gonna wake up, this will be in the flower. Well, no, excuse me, I'm gonna shut the lights off for 36 hours. So come today is Monday, so Wednesday, it'll be the first day of flower. So yeah, let me get in here, clean these up, and I'll give you a look at them once I clean this up. The good thing about this here also is that with this AC Infinity 5x5, the doors on both sides open up, so it'll allow me to get to those back plants a little easier. Now over here, I do have, you can see that, my reservoir and stuff is sitting there, but I can still open up the side door and still reach in there. I'm tall enough to reach over and still deal with that back plant right back there, just the side of it. I will be moving this light up, so I'm big banging my head on the light as I defoliate. Then I'll bring her back down to the height she is now. And at the wattage that this is on right now, well, let's say I'm at 40%. I only think I'm at 50% right now. Yeah, and I just, instead of turning the light up, I just dropped the light down a little closer to the plants. And it seemed to work great. So, and we're still in veg, so there's no need for them to have a ton of light right now. And she didn't do the stretching like I've had in other grows. And that was because I have the light closer to the plants. So, all right, now what we'll do now, I'll put you back on this tripod and start to get to work. All right, we're back. This is actually 2 days later. When I was in there defoliating, there was so much to do. I did like the front row. Then I had my wife come down and help me with that back row. Then I went back and defoliated and cleaned it up some more. Then I added some new fans. As you can see, the fans are moving in the tent. One on the left corner, one in the back right corner up top of the canopy. And down below I put 2 fans down there to isolate. So we got airflow on the top and the bottom of this tent like we should have. But as you can see, the canopy looks fantastic. The plants were all drooping down right after I defoliated it and cleaned up all that bottom stuff, the unnecessary stuff that I had growing there. A day later, the plant stood right back up. I'm gonna just slide you up a little closer so you can see it. But yeah, as you can see, the canopy is completely full. It is definitely ready to go to flower. Now, when I initially started this video, I said then that I was going to wait a couple days, turn the lights off, wait 36 hours, then flip this to flower. But because since I took so much off the plant, defoliating and lollipopping again, I said, let it recover, give it about 3 days, let it recover from the stress I just caused, and then flip it to flower. But as you can see, the leaves are all standing straight back up. And again, remember, this is 48 hours later. The leaves are all standing up. I'm sure that the plants are much happier now with not having all that extra foliage because it was a giant bush. But it's definitely ready now to go to flower. I took my clones that I needed from this one plant here. The other ones I wasn't going to keep any clones of because I said I was going to start a new run of those plants there. The 2 here in the front, my Funky Chapels, Phenos 1 and 3. And then that back row is all my Sour Power Phenos #1. So I have quite a few more of those seeds of each one of those phenos, and I've said, well, let me see if I can dip into the bag, possibly over the summer, and run another run of these and see what I find out of those. But right now I have some new seeds that that I have growing in my veg tent, and I want to get those new strains going for the this coming summertime. But let me take you off the tripod so you can get just a little closer in here, look, and then I'm gonna end this video. All right, once again, don't worry about the fan noise. I didn't want to shut the fans all off. I got to reorganize a couple cords, so once I do have to, when I do videos, when I want to turn the fans off, it'll all be on the same strip, so I can just shut the strip off instead of going around trying to unplug and shut off each one of these fans that's in here. Because there's 4 fans blowing inside. The one there, the one across there now, and I got one, you can see it right there, and one, matter of fact, let's look this way, that one there, and then that one there. And as you can see, the bottom canopy is all cleaned up, all the way up to the trellis net. So it's definitely ready to go to flower. Everything is grown nicely through the trellis net now, as you can see. Nice even canopy all the way through. As you can see, all the leaves are standing back up and praying to the light. I have the light on about 40%. So from what I can see, the plants look like they're definitely ready to go to flower. Nice and happy, 0 issues. This plant here was the one that was looking for a little bit more nutrient because it was a little lighter than everything else, but now it's the same color, green as everything else, so everything is nice and uniform. So it's definitely ready to go to flower. So as I said 2 days ago when I started this video, I said I was going to shut the lights off for 36 hours, turn them back on, and the plants then will be in the flower. And then that's what I'll do. So tonight when the lights go off at midnight, they won't come back on until the day after tomorrow at 9 a.m. Or I might run this, you know what I think, and I did just think about that when I was sitting down. Running this tent here at nighttime. All my other tents has daylight hours, and that's what I'm thinking about doing. The summer, the summer's coming, so it'll be a little bit more heat around now. And here in my basement is pretty controlled. I have air conditioning and heat down here in my basement, vents, so I don't have any problem controlling the air and the heat down here. So. But what I do, I know the electricity is cheaper at nighttime than it is during the day. So I do have quite a few tents growing. So with the 2 bigger ones that actually, this one here, and then I'm gonna spin it around real quick. That's the other behind the curtain right there. That's where a 4x4 is back there. That's part of my next run. Those plus the 2 by 2.5, but it's in that corner there. Yeah, those and this one I'm gonna start running on nighttime hours, and then the laundry room I'll keep on the daytime hours. So just to change it up a little bit, not have everything running all at the same time, pulling all that juice from the circuit breaker box here. But yeah, that's what the plants look like. And that's where we're at this week. Now these plants have been in these AirCube systems since I believe March the 3rd. I went away on vacation for 2 weeks, pretty much in the middle of March. I left I think around like the 19th or somewhere around there of March, and didn't come back until April 1st or 2nd. And today's date is April the 17th. April the 17th. So these plants have been in here in these AirCubes for 6 weeks, or a little better. So they're definitely ready to go to transition to flower. And that's what we'll be doing here next. So that's all I have for you in this video. Again, the AirCube system is doing fantastic. The brain controller over here in the reservoir. Let's take a peep in the reservoir right quick. I do have it open. You see my nutrient-filled water right down in there. And then it's about probably 20 gallons in there right now. So I won't be making a reservoir change for another week or so, maybe 5 days. Got a couple extra hoses running in there that people might see and go, but there's all this extra stuff. This here is just a drain hose. When I'm doing my reservoir change, cleaning it out, I have a pump down in there that I pump whatever's left at the bottom of that reservoir out and into a bucket. So when I put the fresh reservoir in, it's all fresh, clean water. And then I start adding nutrients from that to that mix there. But the brain controller, everything's looking good. Just a little water sitting down at the bottom that stays there until it fills up again. And it'll be coming back on here. Well, it just went off at 12, so it's about 1:15. So the last watering was about an hour ago, almost 2 hours ago. So I'll water again around 4 o'clock, and then that'll be it for the day. The plants are looking great, man. I'm loving this system. Very little maintenance. Outside of the plants growing like crazy, so you got to constantly come in and defoliate and move stuff around. But that's fine, as long as we get a nice, healthy yield harvest out of this run here, I'll be more than happy. But the system, the system is great, man. It runs very well once you get it set up for your situation. If you can't set it up in a room, you got to do it in a tent, and you want to do all 6 buckets, got to make a few modifications. And one other modification that I did make, let me slide up in here. It's right over here. What I was having happen right there. What I was having happen, water was staying in the bottom in my buckets a little bit too much. And I realized that. So what I had to do, I had initially the 2 hoses that you see running down there, I had them going through that port right here. But that made the hoses go up and over, and it caused too much of a loop in the hoses. So when the water is being sucked out back into the system, the brain controller, and then back into the reservoir that sits right back there, it was causing some of the water to stay in the system and keeping these buckets saturated. Didn't necessarily cause a problem in my case. It wasn't keeping a lot, but it was just keeping a little too much in there for my liking. I wanted it to completely run out so the buckets will have a chance to dry back, then get fresh water on the 3 feeds that it gets. And since I've made that correction, it does. I mean, the plants were doing, like I said, were doing fine. It was just that it was just leaving a little bit too much water, and I don't want it to cause an issue later on in the run, especially when we flip the flower. But what I did was just cut holes in the bottom of the tent, and I, as you can see down there, and then I patched the holes up with some Gorilla rubber tape, which sealed it up perfectly. So that's fine. If I ever stop using this system here, I can easily just tape them holes shut, and I shouldn't have any problem. I'll swing back over this side here, and you can see it from the other side. I do need to shut my tent up because I just put I ran the electric cord for that new tent fan that you got up on a pole. But that's what we're over here to look at that right there. But as you can see, they're coming out of the side of the tent there. And again, I got tape around it. It's a much smoother run for the water to go in and out of the brain controller, so we don't have any issues of water settling down into the pots. But as I said, the system is running great. No issues whatsoever. Plants are looking great. Loving the system and the light. So again, at this point here, we're having no problems. So it's time to flip these to flower, and that's what we'll be doing next. So like I just said, at the end of the night, when these lights do go off, I will shut it off for 36 hours. And when it comes back on, it'll be 9 p.m. the day after tomorrow. At 9 p.m. I'll turn the lights on then. So then This tent here just be running in the night schedule from 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. and so on and so forth. But that's all I have for you in this video. If you like what you saw, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, share, and subscribe. And until the next one, stay Bak'n.